Hey guys, today I'm going to read you an article about cloning pets. And before we do that, I want to go through the vocabulary that's in this article. So the first word is cloning, which means to grow a plant or animal from one cell of its parent. So it's making a copy basically. And here's a sentence. Some scientists think that cloning fruits and vegetables can help end world hunger. Our next word will be a cell, which you should all know from science, but it's a tiny basic part of a plant or animal. All living things are made up of cells. You need a strong microscope to see the cell of a bean. Your next word is an embryo, which is an unborn human or animal in the early stages of growth. Okay, an example would be we studied how a chick grows inside an egg from when it's an embryo to when it hatches. Your next word is productive. Hopefully you guys are being a little bit productive, but it means to do or achieve a lot. Antonio was very productive at the library. He finished all of his homework. Okay, and the last word is a breed, mating two animals to produce babies. The zoo plans to breed its Bengal tigers because the species is in danger of dying off. All right, now we'll get to the article. It's really cool. And as we read, I want you guys to think about if this is something you would want to do. Cloning a pet maybe before they pass away. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit once you guys are done reading the article. Just wait for it to open for a sec. Hope you guys are all doing well. Okay. So this is called Seeing Double. And I'm just going to kind of navigate it like we would a magazine, okay? All right, so it says, if you could use science to make an exact copy of your favorite pet, would you do it? There's been a death in the family. Your dog Max is gone. You loved him more than anything. Now you don't know what to do. You don't want another dog. He wouldn't have that little brown spot above his eye. He wouldn't rub his head against your leg the same way. No dog could replace Max. But wait, suppose you could have an exact copy of Max. Yes, the brown spot would be there. Maybe he'd rub his head against your leg the same way too. And this new puppy would be made from a piece of Max himself. All right, so our next section's going to kind of talk about how they clone animals. Making copies. If this were a horror movie, the creepy music would start now. The evil laugh would rise from the basement of the castle. The monster dog would appear in the glowing moonlight. But there will be none of that. This is a story about science, and the part about making a new dog from a piece of Max, that's real. Scientists know how to make exact copies of animals. It's a process called cloning, and people are using it to recreate the pets they love. Here's our vocab we've already talked about. Okay, and we'll go to the next page. All right. Here's how cloning works. Scientists cut a small piece of skin from an animal. Max, the dog for example, from that piece of skin they take a single cell. Then they remove an egg from a female dog. In a lab, they combine the egg and the cell. If everything goes well, the egg and the cell turn into an embryo. An embryo is the first stage of growth for humans and animals. In the next step, the embryo is placed inside another female dog. It grows inside its new mother. About 2 months later, a puppy is born. That puppy is an exact copy of the original dog, and you have your new pet, Max, too. So here's just a diagram kind of going through the steps on cloning. First step is they cut the skin from the dog, and they take a single cell from that skin. And then step 2, in the lab, they combine the cell and an egg from another dog, and those two things form the embryo. Step 3, the embryo is placed inside a female dog, basically so it has a place to grow. And then step 4, the puppy's born about 2 months later, and it's a clone. Cloned cows. Scientists have known how to clone animals for more than 20 years, but there aren't a lot of clones walking around. The process is complicated. It works only about once in 5 tries, and it costs a lot of money. The Texas company Viagen Pets charges $50,000 to clone a dog. A cat costs $25,000. But cloning isn't just for sad pet owners. Companies like TransOva Genetics in Iowa clone from farm animals, like cows and pigs. On every farm, some animals are much more productive than others. For example, certain cows make more milk than other cows. Some farmers clone their best cows. Then they breed the clones. Hopefully the calves will produce as much milk as their mothers. It costs about $20,000 to clone a cow. To some farmers, it's worth every penny. A cloned cow can help a farm stay in business. It can also help produce more milk for the world. So that might be a benefit if we clone animals that produce milk, or like pigs we use for a lot of different meats. Okay, to clone or not to clone. It may be worth thousands of dollars to clone a farm animal, but does it really make sense to clone a pet? Some people say that cloning is cruel to animals. To get eggs, scientists have to perform surgery on female animals. Other females have to carry the embryos for months. Most of the time, the embryos don't grow well. The scientists have to start all over again. And clones may not turn out exactly like the original. The way an animal acts and looks depends partly on how it grows up. Max 2 will grow up with different experiences than Max 1. That means he'll be a different dog. Maybe Max 1 learned to rub his head against you, but Max 2 might just put his chin on your lap and stare. In the end, death might be a problem science can't solve. There will only ever be one Max, and maybe that's a good thing. Okay, so here's another text that goes along with this. It's nonfiction also, so it's true. And it talks about a sheep named Dolly who was cloned in 1996. So let's see how this whole thing worked. She may be the most famous animal ever to walk on Earth. Her name was Dolly, and she was an exact copy of another living sheep. Dolly was born in Scotland in 1996. The announcement of her birth made headlines in newspapers around the world. The lab that produced her got 3,000 phone calls the next week. Most of the callers were shocked that a sheep had been cloned, and they had one important question. Were humans next? To some people, the idea was exciting. The science of cloning could help cure diseases. And what about parents whose children had died? Maybe they could have a chance to replace their loved ones with clones. But other people found the idea frightening. What if movie studios started cloning the most beautiful actors? What if rich parents bought cells from geniuses to produce smart kids? The future suddenly felt dangerous. Dozens of countries made it illegal to clone humans. Since then, more than 20 years have passed. Scientists have cloned mice, cows, pigs, goats, rabbits, cats, and dogs. But no one has figured out how to clone a human being. It may still happen in the future, but for now the only clones walk on 4 legs. So this is Dolly. She was the sheep that was cloned, and that's kind of when they started this whole process in 1996. What you guys are going to do next is there's a Google Doc for you on the Wakelet through Canvas, and you'll just click on it and you'll answer 3 questions. So one of the questions will be, some people are excited about cloning because, so I want you to think about some reasons that people might want to clone. Think about pets, farm animals, and maybe some of the positives of cloning them. The second one, other people don't agree with cloning because, and that'll kind of look like, in this part it talked about cloning or not cloning, how your dog might not be the exact same if you clone him. Okay, so be thinking about some of those negative things. And up here it talked about how it could be frightening if we're cloning and kind of messing around with science, so be thinking about that. And then the third question on that Google Doc just gives me your opinion. Would you clone your pet? Why or why not? Miss you guys. I hope you're all doing well. Have fun with this activity. Bye.